Afternoon, everyone. Say afternoon. I don't know whether it's the evening because I'm still stuck in the UK time zones. Look, the title of this session is about called experience creation, and sort of it's driven off the back of actually sort of what we've been experiencing in conversational AI for the last 2 years. We'll cover certain sort of things around why we believe there's a need for a fundamental sort of shift in how people think about designing and developing these systems and solutions, and sort of hopefully during the session, if you want to sort of ask any questions, or if you want to sort of just get any sort of clarity, just let me know. Okay. I won't go into the table of contents because you won't be able to read it, but essentially there's a structure to what I'm talking about. But just very quickly, who I work with, it's Eviden. Eviden are part of Atos, so apologies for the typo. It's not Atos and Eviden, it's one company. And essentially, we position ourselves as next-gen technology leaders and data-driven, which is important, trusted and sustainable digital transformation. So we're a big management consultancy, an IT sort of service integration company, got over 100,000 employees, but most people are not aware of us. So we need to work on the marketing. Within Eviden, we've got 47,000 people, specialists in digital transformation. Just sort of thinking about the problem we all face, and it's been about for a while. We sort of see this as the paradox that as you digitally transform, what you're actually going to see is a lower cost per customer, which is on the left-hand side. But what we always see is that the satisfaction scores start to decline, the net promoter scores start to decline because you don't have that human interaction. And we've been seeing this for decades. Okay, what we've now got, what we fundamentally believe with this technology is that there's an opportunity to sort of change that. Still digitally transform, but actually make it a better experience for customers and also employees as well. And we'll sort of cover off how we do that soon. Omni-channel has been talked about for about 15 years, maybe 20 years. I know when I started doing research, I was talking about it a lot, even though I didn't really know what I was talking about when I was younger. But essentially, it's been around for a while, and it sort of plays to what PwC said earlier. And essentially, we're now in a position where we can move away from theory into reality. And my previous experience was that, as I said, talking about omni-channel for the last 15 years, and essentially sort of what we're seeing across all the clients is that there's certain themes, certain sort of platforms and sort of solutions that are common. Digital and voice bots are managed separately. You know, that's very common within the industry, and it creates double the risk in terms of essentially not being on brand with voice or digital, but also it's double the effort in terms of managing the solution. You're also sort of in, you know, sort of what we see is companies sort of conversing with you as if you're a stranger. You know, I've been with my bank for 15 years, I've been with my mobile phone company for 22. You know, but when I go onto their voice bot and chat bot, they don't recognize who I am. You know, and for me, in the world that we're now starting to sort of realize with data and technology and also platforms such as Kore.ai, we can really sort of deliver a better experience and treat someone as an individual, which is important. And actually, these new channels such as apps and voice apps have been difficult to implement because platforms haven't really considered those before. It's our belief that voice apps such as Google Play, Amazon Alexa will be the next transactional channel for companies, okay? So working with a system and designing experiences that cover those channels are going to be really important for companies to sort of break through and create better experiences. Now, title of the sort of the session was Experience Engineering, and what do we mean by this? What we talk about with experience engineering is truly leveraging data, okay? A lot of talk has been in the press for the last 2 years about cookie policy. You know, what happens when Google turns off its cookies and restricts it, and suddenly you've got not a lot of data to play with. So there's a big movement called first-party data in the digital space that is actually going to be an enabler if you embrace it. But actually, you need to really leverage the data you've already got within your organization. Again, making reference to PwC, you've got your contact center data, you've got your post data, you've got your digital data. You know, pretty much every client I speak to doesn't leverage clickstream in any way, shape or form. They just count web pages. Maybe do some basic journey analysis. But essentially with customer data platforms, what we're doing is we're actually using those customer data platforms to fuel the conversation, fuel the experience for our clients. And it really enables you to do different things with the experiences that you haven't been able to do before, okay? And importantly, within this, it's qualitative data, not quantitative. So I'm not sure how familiar people are, or you're all familiar with semantic web theory, where you're picking up everything that people are writing, everything that sort of people are expressing on the web, and then using it to drive a better experience. You're able to do that for customer data platform. When you start to really understand the behavior of the customers, of the employees, you can really start to understand how they think and feel. You know, I'm sure we've all been bitten by a really bad survey where we didn't really want to complete it because effectively it's too long, too boring. But with the newer ways of getting feedback, you know, building that understanding of the behavior, building that understanding of the person, the profiling, in addition to how they express themselves through really well-crafted sort of surveys and feedback, allow us to really get underneath the skin of actually sort of the psychology of the person. And that is really, really important in the conversational design that you're going to be sort of thinking about for your business or for your clients. And essentially sort of, you know, stating the obvious, we need to drive experience that meet their needs. But when we sort of work with clients and start to get them to articulate what is the journey that they want to deliver, or what is the journey they you know, sort of have to deliver because it could be regulatory, we find that the mindset in terms of the experience design is still stuck in the last decade, okay? So when we're looking at advising and sort of delivering work for our clients, we start to sort of really think about how can we reduce the friction for the individual at the other end of the virtual or physical space. And that could be employees as well. Could be something simple. We've had a recent client who was doing a design where they were going to sort of get a customer to enter in data manually. And they're like, what are you doing this for? You've already got the app. You know, we're deploying it on the app. We can pull this in from sort of the tokenization that we've got. So the aspect around trying to reduce friction, trying to reduce effort is really, really important. And with this customer data platform and also sort of first-party data, it really helps us engineer better experiences than ever before. It's easy to say, you know, we need to be human-centric in our design. Okay, it's easy to say that our design ethos really sort of drives customer outcomes, but these three psychological tenets probably look, on the face of it, look really, really, you know, yeah, these are obvious. You know, we should always design in these, but, you know, pretty much every time that we're doing a design for a client, we have to restate these psychological tenets of know me, remember me, and react to me. We've developed these over by using over 50 million surveys, getting feedback on people's experiences, and actually these three sort of tenets come out as the key things that really drive an emotive experience. So what I think and feel, you know, people do expect to be treated as individuals. We all do, right? And it's critical that we understand actually how they think about your service, your brand, and what they say they feel about it, but also understanding what they say subconsciously. The subconscious element is something that's quite hard to get to, and we get to it and understand actually how they're sort of thinking and not telling you what they're thinking by using what we call sort of projective techniques within surveys. So things like, imagine if you were the chief executive, what would your three priorities be? Really gets underneath the skin of actually how they should be thinking but are struggling to tell you. Remembering people through systems and data. When we look at contact center feedback, you know, or listen to the calls, you hear things like, I've called you 3 times before and you honestly are telling me that I have to repeat myself. You know, don't you know I've been sort of customer with you for 20 years. Why are you not treating me like that? Okay, so this aspect of remembering who the person is and what they're doing, both for customers and employees, is really, really important in the design that you sort of create. And actually within this, the cumulative experience that people build up in a short period of time or over a longer period of time will and should influence actually how you design your conversations within a conversational AI system. The react to me is really, really obvious. Be proactive, you know, and apologies for the color scheme here. But what we're talking about here is orchestrating experiences that reduce friction, make it easier for people to transact, and actually sort of make it easier for them to do their job or do what they want when they're interacting with your brand. And essentially, we need to connect with them emotively, okay? So a very, very sort of simple example of this in conversational design is, if you think about a customer, they might be with an organization for sort of 10 years, but not actually called into the contact center for 10 months, 12 months. In your introduction, in your welcome statement, use their name and say, hey, it looks like you haven't contacted us in a year. We hope you've been well. One little sentence changes that mindset and that dynamic of actually how they think about you as an organization. So these 3 psychological tenets really do need to feature in your conversational design. As we said, it's not just about customer experience. Employees exist to serve customers, full stop. Yeah, how many of you with clients sort of see that the division that's responsible for customer experience is completely different and not connected to the area that's responsible for employee experience? Okay, our viewpoint when we're speaking to clients is you need to merge both together because they're so interrelated. You can use this to really design a better experience for your whole organization. And this infinite sort of circle comes through. Customers sort of says what they want to do. So they're speaking to the chatbot. I want to take a withdrawal out because actually I need it for a medical bill. Okay. Then they interact with the company, and because it's say a medical insurance, it needs to go to an employee, and then the employee starts to sort of look at what are my systems, what are the knowledge bases that I need to query in order to sort of get this thing done. Okay. So this whole cycle of customer into employee, when you do need to have a handoff, needs to be connected. And again, what we say is that in many, many companies, you don't really think about that from the experience design. The application of this is actually when you're doing, say you're bringing out a new product or you're bringing out a new process, you need to get your customers and your employees involved and data used in order to design the experiences you want to deliver. It's really easy to say what I've just said, but actually sort of in times gone by, it's been quite hard to do, right? Nowadays, it's not. Slightly going against what PwC said earlier, there's technologies in place and have been around for 6 or 7 years that allow you to really get underneath the skin of actually what people are doing. What's the channel deflection? What pages are they deflecting on? Have they come back before? And we link this together. It's a framework that we've got where we use journey analytics. Okay, journey analytics is more than just a funnel. Our version and our vision of journey analytics is actually understanding the click streams, so the pages, the buttons, the time, the periods that people are clicking through on a website or a mobile app as well. There's loads of analytics you can get in that. And understanding, actually, do they then deflect off and speak to a live agent, or do they then deflect off and speak to a contact center? You can join digital and non-digital data together really, really easily. But it's not done. It's not done in many, many companies. Even the big hyperscalers don't join clickstream and offline data together fully. But the technology is there to do it. It's actually pretty simple to do. Feedback, getting the right question at the right time in the right way. Again, easily said and done. My background is market research. I absolutely hated market research by the end of it because I got fed up of being told to design 15 to 20-page questionnaires that really made you yawn. Hopefully not like what this session's doing now. But effectively, getting feedback. You can simply ask, a customer, overall, what's your level of advocacy, or how satisfied were you? And ask a simple question at the back end. What was good and what could be improved about the service? You link that together at a customer data level, and you suddenly have a really strong understanding of actually how they give you feedback. You obviously need to have a sort of strategy, starting with why is a common approach. But also what we're using is journey orchestration. Many organizations have got disconnected systems, okay? And journey orchestration platforms have been brought in to actually be able to connect up your old CRM or your old database into your contact center technology as well. So the journey orchestration tools that we use allow you to connect up siloed systems. We've also got conversational AI, which is why we're all here today, but also, we've got optimization tools as well. Next best action. Doesn't have to be expensive platforms. You can do it sort of simply through A/B testing in a lot of cases. But essentially, by doing optimization, we're delivering personalized experiences, you can actually really get the traction that you need for customers and also employees. So essentially sort of talked very briefly about actually using data to really build into a conversational AI strategy. And this is how we start to do that with virtual agents. I think it's worthwhile pointing out this time, when we've designed the experiences, one of the things that we're looking for in a conversational AI platform is the flexibility to connect into other systems. We don't want to be tied down to using any one platform. And it's one of the reasons why we've been partnering with Kore.ai, because of its integration-first approach. It allows us to connect into pretty much any system that we want to connect into. Briefly touched upon this at the start, but we do need a shift in thinking. Even internally within my own company, we need a shift in thinking of how we want to design experiences for our employees, and also what we need to do for our customers as well. And essentially, when we sort of talk to customers who are investing in Kore.ai with us, the initial mindset is very much, sort of the last decade of how to design a sort of an experience, how to design a conversation flow. It's focused on actually sort of the information that we've got for the customer as opposed to what the customer wants to do. Okay, so what we try and sort of coach our clients around is actually, look, think about the experience. Use your digital analytics, use your digital session data. And what we mean by digital session data is we deploy analytics platforms that looks at what you're doing actually on the website and recompiles it through what we call DOM modifiers. And in doing that, we actually understand how people are navigating the system, both from a numbers perspective, but also from a qualitative perspective too. So it gives us the ability to really understand what the issues are in the journey that we need to fix. What we're also sort of doing is we need to sort of think about the content in the conversational AI system. So people talk about Gen AI creating responses, okay? What we're urging and what we're doing with clients now is moving them into sort of thinking about the conversation responses, but thinking about it in the context of what we were doing in marketing technology sort of 10 years ago, which is actually thinking about giving someone a different response based on sort of the context that they have with your organization and the relevance of the touch point that you've got. And what we're sort of saying in this is actually, let's just say sort of someone comes in and they want to withdraw some money, okay? Based on who they are in terms of their profile, what they're doing in terms of have they tried to do this on the website twice in the last 2 weeks, the response pattern that we would give them, so the response back would be different to say someone who's coming in for the very first time. So the way in which conversational AI sort of systems reply back and speak to an individual, even now can be designed in such a way where we've got multiple responses for one journey. Okay, so that will drive adoption, that will drive people to want to use these platforms more. Because it's fair to say that, chatbots and voice bots over the last 10 years have been pretty abysmal, right? They've either not understood you or not been able to resolve what you wanted to do. What we now need to do is actually change that perception through delivering really good conversations with the individuals. There's several sessions going on within sort of today's sort of workshops around data governance, responsible AI, and we'll just sort of give you a very, very brief perspective of what we're doing in this space around data governance and stewardship within the AI environment. And again, it's a shift in thinking. What we do is we use technology to do real-time data governance and stewardship, okay? So essentially, what we're doing is we're not getting people to compile code books manually. We're using technology to actually sort of pull this together for us and distribute it, so actually it makes it easy for people to search for variables. It gives people the ability to really understand what the data is through the data literacy, giving them the credibility of where it's coming from. And also as well, it makes people take responsibility for the data that was being used in the AI tooling. So we've got accountable owners allocated within the sort of the data governance and stewardship platforms that we use. And essentially, I know you can't see it that well, but we've got a full continuous improvement in this life cycle as well. So people were talking about plumbing more and more data into AI models. You will need a strict governance around that. And if you're able to do it in an automated fashion through tools such as, say, Elation, it makes it a lot easier for you to then get into sort of a good conversations with your CISOs to actually get it approved and get it into the publication. Now, this is the one that sort of a lot of people talk about, which is reaping the rewards, what outcomes can be achieved. It's important to look at this in two ways, right? The first one's above the line. This is about using conversational AI platforms to digitally concierge conversions. Let's just say your company's doing a marketing campaign. You've got a lot of people going into the website, starting on the actual application journey for a new credit card or starting on the application journey for a new mobile phone, but they drop out. Traditional digital approaches would be for you to change your website, which takes time, takes process, it takes a lot of governance to do, and then you've got the development cost. Where we see sort of Kore.ai and conversational AI really helping is actually sort of with the analytics that we know where people are dropping off, deploying a chatbot onto that specific page that we know is a problem where they're dropping off, and saying things like, hey, most people, when if they're sort of dropping off this page, they've got a problem with this form, this is how to fill it in, okay? So the digital concierge bot that you would develop would assist the person almost as if it was an advisor talking them through the application process. So that will improve conversions, it'll improve loyalty, and it'll improve revenue for your customers. Below the line is all about optimizing processes, resources, time, and investment. So everyone's focused on efficiency. Everyone's focused on making the product, sort of the experience more effective, so you don't have any type of rework. It's right first time. And also, you've got the total cost of the actual operation as well. So essentially, the outcomes that we see are different by client, are different because of the markets that they operate in, the use cases that we've got. But essentially, with conversational AI deployed right, we can improve the top line, increase revenue for your company. We can decrease the operational cost as well, which stretches your margins out really, really strongly for the investment you've got within these platforms. And I think, in today's day and age where, investments are cut, everyone's sort of trying to make more margin, so it's harder to get a business case through. Saying that you're going to improve your revenue and also reduce your cost is actually sort of a win-win for your return on investment business case that invariably you'll be doing with your clients and with your stakeholders. One of the areas that we've started to talk to clients about in doing that is actually, let's just say we're trying to advise on and doing a delivery for contact center, and essentially, deploying something like Kore.ai into a contact center, we're going to save £3 or £4 million each year in terms of cost. What we sort of say to clients is it can actually allow you to invest in wider transformation activity. So we are seeing more and more use cases like this where clients are coming to us saying, I need to reduce my operational cost out. We have the conversation, we give them the proposal, 99.999 times out of 100, we're using Kore.ai to deliver that. And essentially with the digital cost out, what we find out through conversations with the client is we need to do our CRM. We need to update it in 2 years' time, but we don't have the budget. We can't do this, do a whole new re-platforming into Salesforce because we just don't have the money. So what we sort of say to clients a lot of time is if you've got a wider digital transformation program and you want to sort of fuel it, go down the route of using second generation conversational AI to fuel that investment, to take the cost out, to reinvest it into the programs that you want to do. Now, a lot of organizations are not thinking like this, and this is something that is getting a lot of traction. This is just an example where Essentially, a client's got 1 million calls per year, average cost is $5.10, and we're giving them a 30% efficiency gain. I would say 30% is low, but we're being conservative with the numbers, okay? That would save us 1.5 million a year and give us an ROI of 2.75 in the first year, okay? Now, what that means is we've got a cost saving of about 1.3 million, factoring out the cost of the conversational AI platform, that they could either reinvest or suck it up as savings. And this is a powerful, powerful conversation at board level. You know, if your clients and your internal organizations wants to do digital transformation but doesn't have the budget, you can start with conversational AI to fuel that investment, okay? Final bit's time to deliver, and spooling up the activity quickly. My first experience of chatbots was in 2013, where I was working at a bank and I was part of the program that was delivering the first generation chatbot for the bank. It was RBS. Used to be a parent company of Citizens over in the US. It took us 9 months to get the design done. What we've got now with Kore.ai as a primary platform is a very, very, very quick time to delivery, okay? We're not exaggerating these timelines at all. In fact, in some of them, we've actually delivered quicker than 13 weeks. But essentially, sort of what we've got is a program where when we're contracting and sort of getting into just getting the deal signed, what we're doing is we're gathering data, we're doing prep work, we're doing baseline analytics based on the frameworks that I've mentioned previously, and identifying and securing the subject matter experts for the client, which is really, really important because we need to get their experience, their understanding. And essentially within a pre-work activity, which can take as little as 4 weeks, what we're doing is we're delivering the first high-level design content, and basically, where applicable, using Kore.ai's accelerators that they've got in order to get us faster into the development. Design will take 1 to 4 weeks. That design effort, you know, half of it will come into actually sort of just getting it approved. But again, with the right framework that we've sort of covered before, actually sort of the development, the integration approach, the low-level design for the recommended first use cases, saying that specifically, the first use cases. That's done within weeks 1 to 4. Delivery can be weeks 5 to 8, but in this aspect for delivery, what we're also doing is allowing 4 weeks worth of testing, okay? And then sort of moving into BAUs after week 13. So we feel confident in a consumer and B2B space, and also in an employee space, that we will get a bot conversational AI platform up and ready for clients in live. And we're able to do that because of the accelerators that Kore.ai has, the framework that we've got, and also sort of the prep work around data governance, data stewardship. We've got that nailed with the technologies, and also we've nailed down use cases as well. And within BAU, we're monitoring, you know, sort of the benefit from day one. You know, we're looking at, is there any capability builds that we'll do within a 2-week window? So we'll always do a 2-week window of sprints. We look at optimization as well. So again, what I talked about earlier is we might want to look at doing A/B testing to see whether, you know, the delivery of the chatbot offer on a particular page needs to be different in order to get that adoption to sort of work with the chatbot in the first place. And also, the important aspect when we move into BAU is actually we're looking at, are there any AI or RPA opportunities that we can invoke through Kore.ai that allow us to optimize even further? So we don't stop at chatbots. Chatbots is the first virtual agent in order to allow us to sort of try and optimize a bit further. So that, I think, is the end. It's just a final concluding thought, which is around crossroads and considerations. I guess, you know, technology's evolved and it's continuing to evolve at a rapid pace. And what we're saying to people based on that inflection point is actually now's the time to act. If you want to gain market share, if you want to reduce your costs, if you want to increase your revenue, act now with these platforms. It doesn't have to be a big bang. it can be iterative. But now we have the technology, we can do a step change within your client's experience or your own sort of business's environment. We do need to change the mindset of how people think about these platforms, both internally and externally with consumers. So there's an absolute really sort of big thing to sort of consider around organizational change management with the technology, and also behavioral nudging and communication to customers as well. And then sort of finally, yeah, information security questions and concerns do need to be addressed. You know, they will need to be addressed even further in the future, I'm sure. But, you know, one thing, you know, in the conference I've learned is actually Kore.ai's Gale platform really does address some of the issues that I've faced as a client and also faced as a service integrator over the last sort of 3 to 4 years. So it's ahead of the market, and it will actually help you get your CISOs completely on board earlier than what typically has been done before. So that's it. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask. Hey. Oh, gonna be running today.
So we know the experience is really important. Is there any research around like the conversational tone that typically puts clients in a better mood when you're talking to them? I've seen Verizon use emojis in their chats. They speak like the Gen Alpha lingo. I'm just curious, like, is there anything in that space we should be considering when we think about the experience?
Yeah, in my previous role, I was working for a research firm called Kantar, TNS, one of the world's biggest. I did a segmentation on actually how people consume information, what they want. So yes, you need to just be relevant to them. So you need to recognize who they are first and foremost. But you need to think about, in terms of the content that you're doing, is it too detailed for that person? Is it too light for that person as well? So there's quite easy ways to sort of segment actually how people consume information and what they want. You do that through the sort of the semantic analysis that you've got in order to shape your responses. Now, what I'm not saying is that technology is there to allow it to do that automatically. Okay, even marketing technology doesn't do that now. But essentially, you can do some sort of basic things within Kore.ai that track, have you expressed dissatisfaction in your last interaction? You change your tone. You know, is it someone, a customer's been here with you for 15 years but not contacted your contact center like in the example did? You can think about simple quick wins there, and it will change the dynamic. Emojis, I'm not too sure, and I'll probably need to ask my kids. Right? Thanks. Any other questions?
What are the 3 key takeaways or key points you want to give to any of the customers who would like to implement, experience engineering in a better way and get more outcome?
Challenge your data and analytics teams to bring all the data together. It is actually really, really easy to do. I'm saying that as a client. I'm saying that as somebody who provides that to clients as well. Ask your data and analytics team to join up the digital and non-digital data so you can understand where people deflect. You can understand how often people are contacting you, you know. Once you understand that and get that data analysis, that insight, that's the first critical aspect. Second critical aspect is, you know, and I've been guilty of this in the past, right? So I'm speaking from having burnt fingers. Don't try and sort of boil the ocean and actually just do everything at once. You know, pick out the quick wins, because you are going to need to, you know, build up and build out the internal awareness and understanding of what these platforms do, because everyone's getting confused with Gen AI, ChatGPT, OpenAI. You know, you're going to have to fight that battle. But again, sort of listening to Kore.ai yesterday, where their Gale models can pull in all of those platforms, you know, you're going to need to, you know, with the technology, to bring some really quick wins, because the biggest thing we face is when we're talking to clients is, look, with this technology, we're going to generate, you know, 3 times ROI in year 1. You're like, no, you're not. You know, that's not possible. So doing some short, quick wins gets people really, really comfortable that actually you're on the right path and you'll get more investment. And the third aspect is just following up, just making sure that, you know, the platforms that you're designing is meeting people's needs, you know, and then you can build out and iterate from that as well. So again, with PwC, is once you actually deploy the bot, that's when the real heavy lifting starts to go, because you're trying to improve it and optimize it and then look for other use cases as well. So they're the three key things. Any other questions? Come on. I'm sure there's some. No? All right. So look, just to reiterate, and we're not saying this because it's a core event. You know, within my organization, we look at all chatbots. The one real platform that we've found has given us the most flexibility to deliver our experience engineering is Core. We've been really, really impressed with its integration-first approach. You've either got out-of-the-box accelerators to connect into platforms, or you've got the NLP models that they've built out as well. So one of my specialisms is banking, you know, and you know, I only wish I had Core's NLP, you know, sort of back in 2014, because that was traumatic for me. Now it's really, really easy to do. So the key thing is the technology's there to really drive business growth, and I think, you know, first adopters is too glib of a phrase, but as clients or as vendors who are supplying clients, you can really make the client's bottom line improve significantly just with this technology. And yeah, for us, it's about give it a trial, see what the benefits are for those quick use cases, and you'll just go on a snowball in terms of benefit realization. So for us, it's really, when we're speaking to clients now, we're saying, look, trial it, adopt it, see what it's bringing you, and you know, let's just have a look at the numbers that you're sort of seeing, because they will be very, very surprised that, you know, Ian and I are working on a project, Ian's over there, where we've already identified out a £3.5 million cost saving in a contact centre. That's over £350,000 a month cost saving. That's massive. And that's not even a big contact centre as well. So now's the time to act and actually really get ahead and, you know, start doing the bigger digital transformation that companies can't normally afford because they don't have the money. All right?